Okay, so you guys, this is always nerve-wracking, but it's 2 minutes before 9. I think I have, well, this is the first interview that we have scheduled with somebody that I don't actually know. Um, and I haven't heard from him. I sent the link to him and I've advertised a little bit, kind of promoted this, that it's going to go live at 9. And that's always, I think, one of my fears, because this morning during our 6 o'clock class, I was not able to go live for some reason. I don't know what, I don't know the connection. These like last like 3 minutes before anybody else logs on and joins me when I'm here by myself is by far the most nerve-wracking. It's like, is it going to happen? Are they going to show? I've sent him the link, but he hasn't seen it. I'm double checking my notes to be sure that I sent it right. He's Mountain Time, so I have screwed up time. Yeah, 6:59, so 7. I said I would send the link. Yeah. So I think I have the right time. My clock just hit 9 o'clock. This is where like nerve-wracking, like, do I just go live by myself? What do I say? What do I do? I don't know that I'm ever going to show this to anybody, but here, this is just, yep, it all looks perfect. And then these are the links. I don't know what to do. You guys, this is so nerve-wracking. This is me currently freezing because I legit, ooh, I just got an Instagram. Says he's coming. I'm gonna try to go live. So the crazy part is that I had trouble going live this morning. And it's giving me trouble again. This is what it looks like.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I am great. I am having trouble with the Zoom feed going live.
Okay.
But I'm going to give it a try again. And then if not, I'll just record it and post it later if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whatever works for you. That's great.
I so appreciate you doing this.
Yeah. No problem. I appreciate you reaching out. That's awesome. That's really cool.
It's super exciting. I love Gary.
Yeah.
I can't wait to kind of just talk to you about that because it's just awesome. And then just you have so many cool things going on. I think the perspective. Let's see. I'll try one more time. We've been doing Zoom classes for our gym as well. And it would not go live for me this morning at 6 a.m. either. So I'm not sure.
That's frustrating. Technology, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt so, just kind of ignorant to things that I feel like adults should know.
I know. And sorry, is it Kara or Kara?
It's Kara.
Kara. Okay, perfect.
Yep. And I think just for the sake of time, I am just going to bag the live, if that's okay, and we'll
100%.
just get going here because I appreciate your time and I don't know what's going on. Then I'm not smart enough to figure it out on the fly.
All good. No worries.
So first of all, thank you so much for meeting me. My name is Kara. I'm Kara Bundy. I'm the owner of a brand new gym here in town. It's a CrossFit gym called Heirloom Athletics. We opened right before we closed.
Yeah.
So one, I want to introduce you, Justin Slim Fitness. We do not know each other. You are officially my first stranger guest on our show.
Oh.
Also non-American. So you are, where in Canada are you?
So, yeah, it's a place called Calgary, Alberta, which is, it's kind of towards the west, but we don't have any ocean near us, but we've got the beautiful mountains. That's what we can kind of attest to. So it's beautiful here. Yeah, born and raised, and it's great. So you may notice a Canadian accent come out a little bit, but I'll try my best.
We'll hold it against you. We'll try not to hold it against you. Yeah. So I first saw you the other day. I actually don't remember what day. It would have been a day last week on the Gary Vaynerchuk show. So I am a huge fan of Gary Vee. I'm new to the Tea with Gary Vee, and I just kind of was enthralled with your interview specifically, and I was like, hey, I might as well reach out because we have a similar fitness, interest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also, just one, you got some feedback that has really resonated with me. And then two, you have a lot going on right now.
Yeah, 100%.
So one thing, just to tell you a little bit about what we're doing with these conversations, is I really just feel like the context and the perspective is really good for everybody. The more that we can learn about how other people are experiencing this and kind of what they're going through, I think it just generates a lot of empathy and compassion for everybody to kind of appreciate that we're all just one part of this much bigger thing. So I would love to start with, how the heck did you get on Gary? How did that, had you been considering it for a long time, or was it like a spur of the moment thing? Or?
Yeah, well, great question. Kara, thank you first off for having me on. This is amazing. This is great to kind of chat, because oftentimes we don't get a lot to chat about ourselves, right? And to kind of spitball off of like-minded people. I think that is really, really awesome that you're having me on. So how I got on Gary, I think that is, how did I get on Gary with Slim Fitness? So I have been on Gary's text platform community, right? So he sends out, every other day, or, weekly texts or daily texts or whatever, just with, motivation and just reminders, empathy, compassion, kindness, perspective, and I've been following that for a while, and I'd been listening to Tea with Gary Vee, and he said on one of the podcasts, or the videos or whatever, he said, if you want to be on, text my app with the hashtag Tea with Gary Vee. So I ended up just texting and just being like, okay, well, I'll throw this out there. He probably gets thousands of texts a day, but I'll try it anyways. And lo and behold, about 4 hours later, his team member texted me back and said, hey, Justin, your question has been selected. Tomorrow we're going to be doing it. So heads up, please be prepared at this time. So yeah, the rest is history. I had a chance to chat with him, and it was awesome. It was great.
So your question was a little bit around, to paraphrase, just kind of managing it all. Like, you have been struggling with you work in media, which I would love to talk about as well. Just I can't even imagine the pace of that job right now.
Yeah.
But then in addition to that, you have this little side hustle called Slim Fitness. And so when did that start? And then at what point did you start to notice maybe during this that it just felt like you weren't keeping up?
Totally. So a little bit of context here. So I just want to go back to my fitness journey and kind of why I started my business, and then I can jump into it. So back when I was going through college, university, for broadcasting, for media, for journalism, I was not in a good place. I was eating, I was not sleeping, I was drinking, I was partying. And, I came out of it 240 pounds heavy. I gained a lot of weight. I was unhappy. So that's when I decided to make a big change. And in about a year, I lost 70 pounds, and the rest is history. So I decided, why don't I instill this passion that I now have for fitness and nutrition? Why don't I instill that in other people? So I got certified, and I joined a group gym, Orange Theory Fitness. I think.
Heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so Orange Theory in the States. And I did group training for about 4 or 5 years. And I decided, you know what? I think that with the last name of Slim, I need to market that, right? And I think my message is not being skinny by any means, but I think it's just a play on words and so on and so forth. So what I ended up doing was starting my own business early 2019, and it's online training specific. So I train a lot of people with, meal plans and workout plans and things like that on the online, in the online world, similar to what you're doing with your Zoom workouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be very similar to that. So I've been doing it for about a year. I was doing outdoor boot camps as well, because here in Canada, the summers, we have to utilize them. We have to, because our winters are long, but our summers are short. So we want to make sure. So I ended up starting an outdoor boot camp as well, and that was pretty successful. Earlier this year, I continued with the training and so on and so forth. And then March hit. My wife was 9 months pregnant. We had our baby the day the NBA decided to cancel their season. And we are so my goal was to take a 2-week pat leave, paternity leave, once we had the baby, vacation time, whatever. And I was looking at it and I was like, this is because I know working in media for 10 plus years, my team is going to be scrambling. They're going to be struggling. This is hard to tell the story. So I canceled. My paternity leave, went right back to work like the next day.
Wow.
So that's where we are now. I'm working from home, luckily. So I do get to see the babes pretty frequently. So it's not like I'm, absent or anything like that. But it's keeping me busy, and I'm trying to keep the side hustle going at the same time. And, it's a challenge, but at the same time, Gary, being on Gary's show specifically, gave me a lot of perspective to say, you know what, just be you, just be patient. This is going to pass, and just keep trusting the process. So that's what I've been doing.
So tell me a little bit about that. How were you immediately able to recognize that as advice that you could kind of go with? Because that advice specifically for me, I think was a game changer in this process of opening a business, because I think that is my default, almost to just live in that constant state of not doing enough. And having to, have the patience and be willing to, good enough is good enough is something that I have to remind myself a lot of. Were you able to immediately kind of connect with that advice, or did it take you some time?
So I've been listening to Gary for a long time. So I'd say, about 3 years or so. And when you hear it, when he's talking to someone else, you're like, yeah, that's a good piece of advice. And then you move on. But when you hear it come in your ears with your name and your DNA attached to that, that's when it really starts to click. And you start to think, yes, that is so true. And to be honest, for someone to say to you, just relax, your content then becomes greater. It becomes stronger because you're not trying to pander to, the fitness realm. And I'm grateful that people are doing at-home workouts, but everybody is doing at-home workouts right now. So it's hard to compete. And I get that feeling of, am I doing enough for my clientele? Am I doing enough? But you know what? Just being you is enough to them. Yeah. So I think that was really eye-opening to me. So, my content has gotten better to that. It's just not as frequent, and I'm okay with that, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
And then how does that affect your kind of overall demeanor? Like, do you have any sort of stress release during the day then from that? Or, was that something you were carrying around with you? Like just the constant feeling the need to keep going and now you're able to ease a little bit, or is the stress still there? You're managing?
So it's when this pandemic hit, I mean, it's a lot different in other places of the world, but here in Canada, it was scary. It was game changing, right? So immediately I put my business on the back burner. The only thing I was focusing on was client services. So the clients that I still did have, and a lot of them canceled, and that's fine, right? Because a lot of people I get it. Yeah. But taking care of the people that I did have was priority number one for me. So I let that and how do you get a stress release? I don't know. I think that was really hard. I think having a baby just really gave me perspective. It's our second child. So, having that perspective to say, I'd rather spend time with them than try to put out this content. And, I think it is a work in progress to just say, you know what? Try not to be stressed about it. It's going to happen day by day. And yeah, I think that, I'm working on it every single day. The weather is getting better here in Canada. I mean, that helps. I'm going to try and convert this into Fahrenheit, but I think that we're at about 65, 70 is our, beautiful. Yeah. So it's good weather now. We can get outdoors. We're walking around. We're getting the babes outside. So I think that's been one of my biggest releases is actually getting outside, because when this first hit, it was still cold here. So you were almost locked inside. So that was tough. So just to show how much I'm not sure. So that would be, is that like 22 degrees Celsius if I was going to guess? So yeah, my math it's about 17, 18 degrees 17, Celsius. 18. Well, okay. So then just to shift gears a little bit, because it's a huge part, I think, of your experience is working in media right now. How the heck? Like, from the outside, to me, that just seems like a world that so many of us know nothing about the backside. So one, kind of specifically, what is your job? And can you talk a little bit about is there a day-to-day? Is it just like papers flying everywhere all the time is what I imagine, just it's constantly moving, right? Yeah. And so a little bit of context here. So I have been working in Canadian media for about 11 years now, and this is the hardest I've been working in those 11 years, for sure, by far, hands down. So that, yes, it's been long, stressful. It's been 12-hour, 13-hour days. And a thing about our organization, and say what you will about the media, but some of the larger media companies, they have the staff. We are a smaller company. We've only been around for 2 years. So our governing body here in Canada is called the Canadian Radio and Television Council, also known as the CRTC. And what they mandated 2 years ago was that our broadcaster parent needed to have a 6 o'clock and an 11 o'clock show. So we started 2 years ago from nothing. And we have decided that, you know what, we're not going to be a fancy production. And, my bosses are going to hate that I say this, but we're not going to have anchors on the news. We're not going to pay big people big bucks, so on and so forth. We're going to have reporters shoot their own material, right? So they're out on the field. They're known as video journalists. So this is just the way that the media is going, because it's hard. Advertising dollars. It's hard to get people's attention with social media, right? People are getting their news from other places at this point, and we get that. We know that it's a struggle. So we're trying to do it a little bit less expensive. So how that relates to my role is they hired me on as the digital manager. Okay. So I manage our websites, the content that goes on our websites right across the country. So whether that's written content, whether that's video content, whether that's live streaming press conferences, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform. So I'm all over it. I manage it for 5 cities right across Canada from east to west. Yeah, so it's busy. It's busy all the time, and my days go by very quick. Let's just say that. And so one other thing that I've been hearing from a lot of people that are still working right now, I'd be curious if you can relate to this at all, is that even though we have
say our same jobs or our same job title, the actual scope of work is totally different.
Totally different.
Right?
Totally.
How is that possible for all of us right now? But like that's the common denominator, I think causing a lot of exhaustion, because it's hard to quantify that I'm doing the same job, I'm technically doing the same, you know, work, but it's so different and it's so tiring, and I need to figure it out along the way. Like it's a constant something new.
Totally. And I think the biggest thing for that, for me anyways, is working from home, because there's no escape. There's no external. I mean, you wake up, you maybe work out, you have some breakfast, and then you're right at the desk working right away. When you're done, you're like, okay, I guess I'm done. Okay. And for me, like with my business too, what I ended up doing is the commute to work is where I would end up doing a lot of my content creation and writing and so on. Because my commute is probably about 60 minutes one way. So I'd have a 2-hour commute every day.
Okay.
But I like that. I like it because I jump on the train, I would put my head down, and I'm working. I'm working for that hour. So that would give me lots of time to really focus on my business. But now it's hard to carve that out. And you know, it's hard to get that escape. So that's why I think it feels, for me anyways, that's why it's so overwhelming, because, you know, it's you're right there with the family. You're right there with the kids. You're right there in your own home. I mean, your bed is just a step away. So it's kind of hard. And I get that for a lot of people too. And I think for a lot of people too is figuring out the technology, right? Because when you're locked into a system at work and you know how things and the processes are all different and so on. I'll give you a good example. So my mother-in-law, her cable and her internet just went out.
Oh no.
She's a divorcee, so she's you know, by herself. She needs that TV. She needs that the internet to make sure that she's staying connected, so on and so forth. And the company that, you know, gives her the internet and cable, they're all working from home. So she's been on the phone for 6 days straight trying to figure this out, because nobody can really help her because they're working mobile as well. And I think that's hard for a lot of people. It's really, really challenging at this point.
Yeah. We have a similar example of a member who's in the 60 plus age range who is trying to navigate online classes, which is new for all of us. But, you know, somebody who did not grow up with any of this, and then trying to figure that out, needing to get internet into a different room of the house to navigate around how the house works and with other people that may be sleeping and you're not used to jumping around in the house, and then trying to get talked through over the phone how to connect a new router at that age. Like I just appreciate the effort of everybody trying to, it's not as simple as it sounds. Not that it sounds simple, but it's like, oh yeah, I'll just get Wi-Fi in a new room. And then like 10 days later and 3 steps later and all, it's a lot.
There's a lot. It's hard, right? It's challenging.
It is. Have you found any sort of hacks or rhythm or routine or like space in your house that you have been able to like designate as workspace versus family space that helps divide the time maybe?
Yeah, so it's, we have a smaller house. So we're in a townhome right now. And so we're about 1,200, 1,300 square feet, but we are 3 levels. And our bottom level, which is where I am right now. So I'll give you, see if I can. Yeah, so it's my kids' playroom. But that space right there is my gym.
Oh, nice.
So I found this place as my escape, to be honest with you, because it's separate. It's on a different level, so on and so forth. And another thing for us too is my wife and I made an agreement. We've been married for 6 years, and we made an agreement from the beginning that we would never put a TV in our bedroom. And that, for that reason, because we needed an escape from the real world. We didn't want to still be connected to, you know, the news and the shows and things like that. So I actually find that that's been helpful, because then it's really, you shut down, you turn off, you really focus on your mental health when you're in the bedroom, or when I'm down here, you know, working out. So
nice. So then talk to us a little bit about your workout regimen and routine. I think what we found for a lot of people is it's been an evolution. I think you kind of dive full speed in the first couple weeks into like transitioning to at-home work. What does my new job scope look like? What is that? And then maybe I'll go for a walk every now and again. And now figure in like those routines. We have much more of a set schedule with the Zoom classes, more consistency, I think, with attendance. Do you find that you've gone down a similar path?
100% I have. And I think all the parents out there listening too, newborn life is tough. It is hard. You're not sleeping. I mean, if you can get a freezer, and I think the biggest thing too is grandma can't come visit and we can't drop the kids off. And I think that's for a lot of parents too. So the struggle is real. So for the first little bit with my workout and I wasn't working out. If I could get outside and walk around the block, that was a success. And like I mentioned earlier, the weather was so cold. It was freezing, right? So even just walking to the mailbox, because we don't have mailboxes on our house. We have like a community mailbox where you kind of have to walk a little bit too. Yeah. It was a challenge at the beginning. And, I'm never saying that weight gain or weight loss should be a goal for a lot of people, but I did put on some pounds, and I'm okay with that now because it's the stress, the pressure. You have to go easy on yourself and realize that none of us have been through anything like this before. So to go easy on yourself and say, you know what? Just do what you can. And now that we found a rhythm, if you're able to join an online class, you're finding a lot of communities, Kara, people like you doing great things right now, doing these online classes to make sure that people are well supported. And, it's a challenge every day, but we're making it work. So right now, my routine, what am I doing? So I think the one thing that's really exciting for me is that I am doing a lot more program design because I only have a set of dumbbells. So it's using what you've got, using your body weight, using dumbbells. I don't have I just ordered a pull-up bar, so that's next for me. But right now it's really, really just focusing on, unilateral work. I'm focusing on tempo. I'm focusing on, and timing my runs. So instead of just doing a 5K run, for example, maybe I'll do a 5K and then follow that up by sprint drills. Or maybe I'll do like a 3K and then do some sprint drills. I'm getting back into skipping. Things like that, I think that have been really beneficial to me. And one thing that I think has been and it's super underrated, is low impact HIIT has been amazing for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So doing a lot of stair work, doing a lot of running on the spot, doing a lot of ladder work, those kinds of things where I'm not focusing too much on the jumping, but I'm focusing on the faster feet. Because a little bit more about of my background is I consider myself an athlete. Say what you will, but I was a hockey referee at a very high level growing up. So I almost made it to the NHL. So that was really, I really had to have those fast feet. So I'm getting back to my roots at this point. So that's been my training. I've been getting back into play, making sure that play is part of the workout as well. And it's not so, here are your sets and your reps, but I might do something like, okay, here's what I'm going to do for 30 minutes. And then the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be doing swings with my daughter, my 3-year-old daughter, right? So it's getting back to play. It's having fun with it and just not overjudging. If I only do a 15-minute workout one day, I don't judge it. I let it go and I just move on to the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that we're focusing a lot on that too, is almost not almost, but it's more important right now that we're trying to get everybody to sustain the routine of carving out 20 to 40 minutes a day, 4 to 6 days a week. What you do in that time, I'm much less concerned about than actually just losing that time altogether. So maybe it is a walk outside, maybe it is low intensity, maybe it's high intensity. That aspect of it right now is much less important than just giving up on the time altogether and replacing it with something else. Because then when we do evolve into whatever comes next, we can just keep that routine alive, and then we may be less emotionally and mentally exhausted from this, and we have more to give. We keep saying life is intense right now, so your workouts don't need to be as intense.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I think that that's crucial for a lot of people who are listening right now, because there are still people who are quote unquote giving it their all and going crazy. And how can you do that when you are still trying to navigate this new world? So I think the key that you really said is don't overjudge your workouts at this point.
You can't.
Don't make yourself feel so guilty about not getting it done. Because you and I both know that the things that people post on social media, that's their highlight reel. That's the stuff that they are doing when they are well rested, well fed, so on and so forth. So don't overjudge yourself, because it's okay. We're going to get through this. This is temporary. Do what you can right now and then get back on track, once. And I'm glad that you're doing a routine, because then it reminds people too that, this is okay. This is okay to do it at this specific time, just do what you can.
Yeah. And the reminder that, a lot of the people that we follow online, that the fitness is their livelihood. So they have to sustain a different level of maybe intensity or regularity if they are competing or they have significant sponsorships or any of that. When we're getting fit for regular life and trying to, prepare ourselves to be, self-sustaining and live independently when we're old, it just looks a lot different. So that perspective, I think, is real. I found that this time has been a great time to build perspective. I think for all of the reasons that we have talked about, right? Like, because it can, like, fulfilling your path to wellness has to fit in whether we're in a pandemic or not.
Yeah.
So it can't be that thing that you go so hard in, but then you don't have time for when the world is falling apart. That means it doesn't really fit in with your regular life overall. And so talk to me a little bit about the dynamics of the newborn. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
So the same day the NBA announced, you have a new baby and you also have a toddler?
Yep, we've got a toddler, a 3-year-old as well, both girls.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. So it has been.
Sleep is abundant.
Sleep is great. Amazing. You know what? And it's funny that you mentioned that too. So first off, I really have to give credit to my wife. She is a superstar. She is a real amazing person. So we are actually really fortunate here in Canada, and I'm so grateful for this. And I don't know what the rules are in the States, but in Canada, my wife can apply for an 18-month maternity leave.
Amazing.
So I know. So she is on an 18-month maternity leave right now. Which this lets her reset because she's unsure about her job now. And so it was perfect timing in that aspect, right? So when she saw how hard I was working and she saw I was, Kara, I have to be completely transparent with you. There were some days where I broke down in the fetal position crying.
Sure.
And I'm not a frontline worker. I can only imagine what they're going through if I face that externally, just having to report on it. So thank you, kudos to our frontline workers. They are the real heroes in this. We couldn't do this without you. But aside from that, so my wife has been a real superhero. She actually, when she saw me working as hard as I was, she said, "I'm gonna let you sleep at night. I'm going to take care of the nighttime feedings." And that has been a real game changer. The fact that she lets me sleep has been so incredible, not only for my mental health, but for our relationship together, because I could only imagine how grumpy and how irritable I would be if I had to work with that stress level and, just try to put it up. So on the weekends, that's when it's my responsibility. So I'm only working on Friday. Yeah. So it's my responsibility in the night, which is great. I mean, we're finding that balance. But our kid, and I think that every parent says this, but our kid is a rock star. She's like, she barely cries. She's actually sleeping very well through the night. And I know the regression is going to come. I know we're preparing for that, but so on. It's been great. She has been an amazing baby. Little Jovi, she's 8 weeks now. Yeah, she's 8 weeks now. So it's been cool. It's been really cool. And what's lucky for me is working from home. I get to take the silver lining by putting her on my knees while I'm still working, right? So I can still have that connection. And she's, it's actually been not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, the first month was a little bit more challenging because that's when things were really hard. But now we're really finding a groove, and it's been okay.
Yeah. I think the point you make about your wife is so valuable because we talk a lot about relationships, and I think just being in tune to what your partner may need, even though they're not able to verbalize it, like her being able to see that exhaustion. And it's really hard for anybody, men or women, to just be like, I just really need your help here, or I need, this isn't a reflection of how much I love the kids or the family, but I just need to sleep through the night to be able to function at my job and as a father during the day. Yeah. I think that's really valuable. And I think that's one way that a lot of us can really help in our relationship without asking anything of our partner, is just to be really honest about being aware of how we can interpret their feelings. Because we know after a certain amount of years, even without saying, it's easy to see either frustration or exhaustion or overwhelm on the face of the people that you love. And being able to respond to that in a compassionate way, even if you have to give more of yourself, just it changes the evolution, right? It makes the path better for you both. So that's really powerful. She does sound like a rock star.
Yeah, she's my rock. She's been, and it's funny. Her and I we knew each other in high school. So we never dated in high school. We were friends. We had, boyfriend, girlfriends of other people. But it's funny, and I'm so grateful that I did get into the media, because what ended up happening is my internship is where she was taking her undergrad. So we reconnected. Yeah, it's just, it's total serendipity. Yeah, it's total serendipity, and it was just meant to be. So she's a real rock star. Jessica, I love you.
Oh, that's sweet. So tell people where they can find you. I think, so it's interesting. So our fitness business is online now because it has to be, but we are based in Cambridge, Maryland, on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. But I am a huge advocate for just moving. I think exercise is important for a healthy life for everybody. And I can appreciate that some people are going to find that in a gym setting. We are CrossFit specifically. Some people are going to prefer to do that online. So I'd love for you to just talk maybe a little bit about, your website, what sorts of offers you have online, like what people can expect if they were to sign up with Slim Fitness, and kind of what that would look like.
Sure. Yeah. So I appreciate that opportunity. Thank you, Kara. So my website is justinslim.com. There are 2 M's in Slim. I am on all social media platforms. You'll find me on YouTube. You'll find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. TikTok. Are you on TikTok yet, Kara?
I'm on TikTok. I have one video. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough.
I'm in the analyzation phase. I have to say, like, I'm spending more time watching. I just can't figure out what to do.
Yes, it's a fun platform. I'll say that right now. And going back real quick about just content, I don't put any fitness content on there, because what I found with fitness content is the ones that win are the people with 6-pack shredded abs, the people who are able to dance. I can't do that. But what I find is I can tell stories, and I think I'm funny sometimes. So, you have to play to what your strengths are. And I think that that's been really fun for TikTok right too, because it's not just sets and reps, as I mentioned earlier. We have to show who we are as people, and it's storytelling. So I'm everywhere. You can find me at Slim Fitness. So what working with me would look like is it is entirely online based. So what that means is I provide workout plans with video support. I provide nutrition support with calories and macros, so on and so forth. We do weekly check-ins, weekly phone calls to make sure that you are staying true to your goals. We work with what you have, so what equipment you're available to use. We look at your injury history. We look at things that you enjoy doing, and I think that the biggest part with me comes through the coaching itself, like the weekly calls to say, okay, let's check in, how's it going, so on and so forth. And I think that has been a real success for me. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's awesome. Well, I couldn't be more appreciative of your time. I really thank you for meeting with me and taking the time out. I know you are extraordinarily busy and you don't even know who we are. So
no problem, Kara. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. And it looks like you're doing good things as well. And, like you said, the fact that you started your business and then it had to stop, this is a real opportunity now to find out who you are as a person and to find out who you are as a business. And I think that you're really serving your community the right way. So.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. So I'll end at the video with just our core values are growth and connection, and I think we couldn't be practicing this more than through these live chats, because one, they're terrifying for me, so I'm certainly growing in the experience. You're just kind of making it up, and then just connecting with people about their experiences. I think it does a lot to bring communities together, even around the world. So I thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day. We are expressing a lot of gratitude for our beautiful weather as well, so I can relate to that. I hope you continue on the sunshine wave of spring for Canada.
Thank you, and same to you, Kara.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.